The morning sun poured gently through the wide glass windows of the Crystal Crown Hotel, illuminating its bright, modestly expensive interior. White marble floors, soft cream walls, and gold-edged furniture that whispered quiet luxury. Lily Vincent, the newest maid, balanced a silver tray of breakfast with trembling hands. Her black and white apron uniform was perfectly neat, her dark hair tied back into a bun. She had been warned that the man in suite 701 was unlike any other guest. The hotel's owner himself, Frederick Wilson, a young, handsome billionaire known for his reserved charm and power. Taking a deep breath, Lily approached the tall, elegant door and knocked softly. "Come in," came a deep voice from inside. She turned the knob and stepped into the room. The moment she entered, the door closed quietly behind her, and then she froze. Frederick had just stepped out of the bathroom, a white towel loosely wrapped around his waist. Droplets of water glistened on his toned chest under the presence morning light. His presence filled the room, confident, masculine, and disarmingly calm. Lily's heart raced. Her eyes widened slightly before she quickly lowered them. She placed the braided breakfast tray carefully on the coffee table, trying to keep her composure. But when she turned to leave, the doorknob refused to move. Sir Lily stammered softly, "The door, it's not opening." Frederick frowned and walked toward her. "Let me try." He twisted the knob, but it didn't budge. He picked up the suite's telephone and pressed the hotel line. "No." Dial tone. "Strange," he murmured. They knocked, called out, even tried pushing the door, but it remained stubbornly shut. After a few minutes, the effort turned into silence. Frederick sighed and walked to the edge of the bed, frustration on his face. When he turned back, he saw Lily seated on the floor by the door, tears glistening in her eyes. "Hey," he said softly, walking over. "Don't cry. We'll be out soon. I promise." He crouched down and offered her his hand. Lily hesitated before taking it. As she stood, their eyes met. Something powerful and unexplainable flickered between them. Without thinking, Frederick's hand lingered on hers. A current of emotion surged through him. Strange, uncontrollable, real. And before either of them could stop it, he pulled her closer. Their breaths mingled. His heartbeat thundered. He kissed her. At first, she froze. But the warmth of his lips melted her resistance. The kiss deepened, turning urgent and emotional. They stumbled backward, moving toward the bed, hearts and senses spinning wildly, until the world around them disappeared completely. Hours later, Lily woke up. Slowly, the soft morning light spilling through the curtains. Frederick lay asleep beside her. Her eyes widened in horror as realization struck. Her uniform was on the floor, and she was half naked under the sheets. Tears filled her eyes. "What have I done?" she whispered shakily. She wrapped the sheet around herself and rushed into the cart bathroom, locking the door. Inside, she leaned against the sink and sobbed silently. Frederick woke up to the sound. Concerned, he stood and went after her. "Lily," he called softly from the doorway. "Please don't cry. I'm sorry. I don't know what came over me." Her voice trembled from inside. "You don't have to say anything, sir. It happened. Let's just forget it." When she finally came out, she was dressed, her face pale and distant. Frederick tried the telephone again. This time the line connected. As Lily reached for the parquet doorknob, it turned easily. The door opened. They exchanged a stunned glance, realizing they had been locked in for reasons neither could explain. Before she could walk away, Frederick stopped her. "Wait," he said, reaching into a drawer and taking out a bundle of cash. "Please take this." "I'm sorry, Lily. I No, I can't undo what happened. But I want you to take care of yourself. Lily's eyes filled with tears again. She shook her head slowly. It's not just your fault, sir. I could have stopped it. But I didn't. I let my emotions control me. Please keep your money. And with that, she turned and quietly left the room. Days passed. Lily avoided him completely. She hid in the kitchen, mopping floors and washing dishes, her heart heavy with guilt and confusion. Frederick, on the other hand, couldn't stop thinking about her. He searched for her every day, until one afternoon he found her near the kitchen counter, pale and unsteady. Lily, he called just as she collapsed. He caught her in his arms. Before she hit the ground, someone call my driver now. Minutes later, he carried her into his car. The driver sped to the nearest hospital. Frederick stayed beside her the entire time, watching her breathe weakly on the can's hospital bed. When the doctor returned, his face was calm but serious. Mr. Wilson, he said, she's pregnant. She needs rest. No hard work or stress for now. Frederick was stunned. He looked at Lily, who sat silently, tears sliding down her cheeks. Frederick drove her himself after the hospital visit. When the car stopped, Lily looked out the car stopped window in confusion. This isn't the hotel, she said softly. No, he replied. This is my home. You'll stay here until you're strong again. The gates opened to reveal a bright, elegant mansion surrounded by a manicured garden and glass panel walls that glowed softly under the afternoon sunday. The interior was modern yet warm, white marble floors, soft gold accents, and fresh lights in every corner. As they entered, a few staff members exchanged quiet glances. None of them had ever seen their boss bring a woman into his private home. Frederick led her upstairs to a bright bedroom with white linen sheets and floor-length windows. Rest here, he said gently. You need peace and care. Then he turned to the household staff. Downstairs. Make her something light to eat, he instructed. Serve her upstairs. And treat her like a queen. And from that moment on, Frederick Wilson began to care for Lily Vincent like she was the most precious person in his world. The morning sun filtered through the Kankit mansion's glass walls, painting the white marble floors with streaks of gold. Birds chirped softly outside. The air smelled of lavender and coffee. Lily woke slowly, blinking against the light. The silk sheets felt strange under her fingertips, too soft, too expensive. Hair, body still HD, and her heart heavier than ever. She sat up, confused for a moment before the memory struck her. The hospital. The test result. Frederick's silent face. Her eyes welled up. There was a soft knock. A maid in a pastel uniform stepped in, bowing slightly. Good morning, ma'am. Mr. Wilson asked me to bring you breakfast. Ma'am. Lily whispered, surprised. Am not, please. Am just a maid. The other maid smiled kindly. Not in his eyes, ma'am. She placed the tray on the bedside table, a beautiful set of pancakes, fruit, and warm tea before leaving quietly. Lily stared at the meal, her thoughts spinning. She had worked in this mansion once, polishing tables and cleaning rooms she could never dream of sleeping in. And now she was lying in the owner's bed. Downstairs, Frederick stood by the paisley floor-to-ceiling window of his study. A cup of black coffee untouched in his hand. He wore a simple white shirt and black trousers, sleeves rolled up, his tie discarded on the desk. The sunlight carved lines of exhaustion across his face. He hadn't slept properly since the day at the hotel. He had crossed a line he could never uncross, and now she carried a part of him. The guilt in his chest was heavy, but there was something else underneath it, a strange tenderness. He didn't understand. When the Chinese Zoro housekeeper entered, he asked quietly, Is she awake? Yes, sir. She just had breakfast. Good. He looked toward the stairs. Tell the driver to prepare the car. They'll take her to the doctor this afternoon. Yes, sir. But even as he said it, he didn't move. He just stared at the sunlight and whispered to himself, I don't deserve her forgiveness, but it'll protect her. No matter what. By noon, Lily stepped out of the bedroom in a soft white gown one of the maids had given her. Her hair was brushed neatly. She looked fragile yet graceful. She found Frederick sitting in the living room flipping through a file, though his mind was clearly elsewhere. When he looked up and saw her, his heart skipped a beat. She looked beautiful, not because of the dress, but because of her quiet strength. Good afternoon, she said softly, avoiding his eyes. He stood up immediately. You should be resting. I've rested enough, she replied. You didn't have to bring me here, sir. I can go back to the hotel. No, Frederick said firmly. But his voice remained calm. The doctor said, you shouldn't do hard work. You'll stay here until you're well. Lily looked down, her fingers nervously brushing the edge of her gown. People will talk, sir. Let them, he replied, voice low. They already do. Silence filled the Brossidon room. The distant sound of the fountain outside echoed softly. Then, after a pause, Frederick said quietly, Lily, I'm sorry. Not just for what happened that morning, but for everything after. I didn't mean to complicate your life. She looked up at him then, tears shimmering in her eyes. I don't hate you, sir. I just don't know how to face you. He nodded slowly, pain flickering in his eyes. That makes two of us. Later in the day, Lily walked slowly through the mansion's garden, her hands resting on her flat belly. The sun was setting, spreading golden light across the fountain and trimmed roses. The soft breeze lifted her hair, and for the first time, she smiled faintly. From the balcony above, Frederick watched her quietly. She looked so small against the vastness of his estate, yet she somehow filled it with life. He didn't go down. He just stood there silently, promising himself that no harm would come to her. Again. That evening, the dining room glowed with warm chandelier light. The long table looked grand, but only two places were set. Frederick waited in a navy blue shirt, sleeves folded, the air of quiet control around him. When Lily entered dressed in a simple cream dress the maids had lent her, his gaze softened immediately. You didn't have to prepare dinner for me, sir, she said shilly. I didn't, he replied gently. I just didn't want you eating alone. She hesitated, then sat down. The maid served quietly and left the room. They ate mostly in silence. Occasionally, their eyes met and both quickly looked away. Halfway through, Frederick said, You can call me Frederick when it's just us. Lily looked up in surprise. Sir. He smiled faintly. No one else is here, just us. She nodded awkwardly. Okay, Frederick. The way she said his name stirred something deep inside him. He hid his reaction behind a sip of wine. After dinner, Lily returned to her room, sitting by the window. The moonlight poured in through the glass, silver against her dark skin. She rested, her hand on her belly again, tears rolling silently down her cheeks. What am I going to do? She whispered. Downstairs, Frederick sat in his study, staring at the same moon from a different window. His phone buzzed, his business partner calling. He didn't answer. He couldn't focus on anything except the girl sleeping upstairs. He whispered to himself. She doesn't know it yet, but he'll take care of her, even if she never forgives me. Before midnight, he went upstairs quietly. The door to her room was slightly open. He saw her asleep, peaceful, tears still dried on her cheeks. He stood there for a long moment watching her. The faint moonlight traced across her face, soft, And innocent. Frederick whispered under his breath. It'll make this right, Lily. Vincent, even if it cost me everything. He closed the door gently behind him. The camera pulls back, showing the vast mansion glowing under the moon. Two lonely souls trapped by guilt and fate, yet unknowingly bound by something deeper beginning to grow between them. The next morning, the soft golden light of dawn spilled through the glass panels of the mansion's vast bedroom. Lily stirred slowly under the sheets, her hand brushing across the smooth silk. For a second, she forgot where she was. Then the reality returned. The billionaire's mansion is kindness guilt. Her confusion. She sat up, pressing her palm gently over her stomach, remembering the doctor's words. You need rest. No stress. The thought of carrying Frederick's child still felt unreal. Her gaze drifted to the open balcony. Outside, the sky shimmered with the early glow of Lagago's morning light, and the sound of distant waves from the private lake echoed softly. Moments later, two maids entered, quietly, rolling a silver breakfast cart. Good morning, Miss Vincent. One greeted with a polite smile. Lily gave a small nod, her voice gentle. Please, just call me Lily. They placed a breakfast tray, omelette, croissant, papaya slices, and tea on the small balcony table before leaving. She sat down, her white robe gently brushing against the chair. The sunlight danced on her dark brown skin, making her look ethereal. She breathed in the morning air, trying to calm her racing thoughts. But the calm shattered when she saw Frederick walking toward the garden below. He wore a casual outfit this time, cream trousers, a light blue shirt, with sleeves rolled up. The sunlight reflected softly against his caramel-toned skin. He was speaking with his security guard, but his eyes lifted, meeting hers for a moment. Their gazes locked, silent, heavy, electric. Lily quickly looked away, pretending to sip her tea. But her heart wouldn't slow down. By afternoon, a black SUV pulled into the mansion's driveway. The doctor, who had attended to Lily at the hospital, walked in, carrying a medical bag. Frederick guided him upstairs. Personally, she's resting, he said, quietly. Lily looked up as the doctor entered her room. Good afternoon, Miss Vincent, he greeted. How are you feeling today? A little better, she said softly. Frederick stood at the door, watching as the doctor checked her pulse and blood pressure. He listened intently when the doctor said, she's stable now, but she must not stress. Shall need proper meals and regular checkups. Frederick nodded. Shall have everything she needs. After the doctor left, the room fell silent. Frederick hesitated by the doorway. Before speaking, you're stronger than I thought, he said quietly. Lily smiled faintly. I have to be. That evening, Lily took a slow walk in the mansion's flower garden. The air was cool. The scent of hibiscus and rose filled the rose path. Frederick found her standing near the fountain, staring into the water's reflection. He approached carefully. You shouldn't be walking alone, he said softly. I needed some air. She replied without turning. It's too quiet inside. He nodded. Silence can be louder than noise sometimes. Lily turned then, meeting his gaze. The fading sunlight caught his face. He looked tired, sincere, and deeply conflicted. I know. I can't change the past, he continued, voice low. But I want to make sure your future, our child's future, is safe. Her heart trembled at the word our. What? She asked in a whisper. You don't owe me anything, Frederick. He stepped closer. Maybe not, but I want to. For a long moment, they just stood there, two hearts caught between guilt and something gentler, something dangerous. Dinner that night was quieter than usual. Lily sat at the smaller dining table this time at Frederick's suggestion. He wanted it to feel less formal, more human. He served her soup himself, something no one had ever seen. Him do. The maids exchanged shocked glances before leaving the room quietly. Lily smiled slightly. You don't have to do that. I want to, he said simply. For the first time, they laughed a little. Not forced. Just a soft, real sound that filled the space between them. When dinner ended, Frederick said gently, if you ever need anything at all, just tell me. No questions asked. She looked at him, her eyes softening. Thank you, Frederick. Later that night, Lily sat in her room writing in a small notebook she had brought from the Two Bells Hotel. She wrote, I don't know why he makes my heart ache. He's kind. But I can't forget what happened. Maybe time will tell if this care is real or guilt. Downstairs, Frederick stood by the piano. In the living room, his fingers resting on the keys. He played a soft, slow melody. Something mournful, yet tender. The sound floated upstairs. Lily paused. Her writing, listening, eyes misty with emotion. She didn't know the song. But somehow, it felt like he was speaking to her through every note. Before bed, Frederick found himself walking toward her room again. The door was closed, but the faint light beneath it told him she was awake. He almost knocked, but stopped. Instead, he whispered under his breath, Good night, Lily, and turned away. Inside the room, Lily sat by the drive window, staring at the moon. She didn't hear him, but somehow she smiled softly, whispering good night, Frederick. The camera slowly pulls back from the daughter mansion exterior, showing both of them in their separate rooms. The glow of two lights on different floors, bound by an invisible thread of fate. Soft jazz music hummed through the open living room as sunlight streamed across the marble floors. Lily descended the grand staircase slowly, her hand brushing the polished rail. She felt stronger today. Her steps no longer shaky, her eyes bright though still guarded. She wore a light blue cotton dress, modest but pretty, and white slippers. The scent of roasted coffee and fresh bread lingered from the kitchen. Frederick was at the breakfast table reading the morning paper, sleeves rolled up, watch glinting under the light. When he looked up and saw her, he smiled faintly. A rare, genuine one. You're up early, he said. I couldn't sleep much, she replied. Bad dreams. She shook her head. Just too many thoughts. He poured her tea without asking. The small act made her chest tighten. Downstairs in the staff corridor, two young maids whispered, while folding linen. Can you believe he lets her stay here? One murmured. She's not even wearing the uniform anymore. The other replied. You think she's special? She must be. The boss never talks to anyone like that. Their voices echoed faintly up the hallway. Lily, carrying a tray back toward the kitchen, froze when she heard them. She turned the corner quietly, saw their startled faces, and simply said, Don't stop working because of me. She kept walking, but their words stung. Inside, she whispered to herself, I'm not special, and just a mistake he's trying to fix. Later that morning, Frederick sat in his private office on a call with investors. Behind him, floor to ceiling, windows flooded the space with bright light, but his focus kept slipping. He found himself staring at the small rose Lily had placed in a vase on his desk. The previous evening, it had wilted slightly, but he hadn't thrown it away. When the meeting ended, he leaned back. Inside, he could conquer markets, negotiate deals worth millions. Yet, one quiet girl could undo his composure completely. He picked up his phone, but didn't dial. Give her space, he told himself. Don't scare her away again. By noon, Lily was in the kitchen helping the chef, though she wasn't supposed to work. She sliced vegetables slowly, focusing on the rhythm to quiet her thoughts. Frederick entered unexpectedly, his tall figure filling the doorway. The chef immediately stepped back with a bow. "Good afternoon, sir." Frederick smiled. "You can go, Daniel. They'll finish this." The chef blinked in disbelief, but obeyed, leaving them alone. Lily frowned. "You shouldn't be here. You have meetings." He picked up a knife, chopping alongside her. "Maybe I wanted to learn from the best." She tried to hide her smile. "You'll ruin the carrots. I'm a fast learner," he said, cutting uneven pieces. That made her laugh quietly. For a brief moment, the mansion felt normal. Two people cooking together. Laughter mixing with the sound of the knife and running water. Later that afternoon, Lily tried carrying a tray upstairs. Halfway up the U-den staircase, dizziness hit again. The tray slipped. She gasped, losing her balance. Frederick, walking from the opposite hallway, moved fast, catching her just in time. The tray clattered. Her hand clutched his shirt. "Lily," he said, breathless. "You shouldn't be lifting anything heavy." "I'm fine," she whispered, though her face was pale. "You didn't believe her." Without a word, he carried her in his arms again, gently like glass. This time, she didn't protest. Her heartbeat matched his. When he laid her on the couch, his voice softened. "You promised to rest." "Am not used to being cared for," she murmured. He knelt beside her, eyes searching hers. "Then let me be the first." For a second, neither moved. Then Lily looked away, cheeks warm. "You don't have to fix me, Frederick. I'm not trying to fix you," he said quietly. "I just don't want to lose you." That evening, heavy rain began to fall. The mansion lights dimmed to a golden glow. Lily stood by the balcony, watching droplets race down the sand of glass. Frederick approached, handing her a shawl. She took it softly. "You shouldn't be so kind. People already talk." "Let them talk," he said. "They don't know what this means to me." She looked at him, eyes glistening in the dim light. "What does it mean?" He hesitated, then replied, "It means I care more than I should." Outside, lightning flickered. The brief flash illuminated their faces. Close, trembling, uncertain. But instead of reaching for her, he stepped back, whispering, "Good night, Lily." She watched him leave. The echo of his words mixing with the rain. Hours later, Frederick sat in his study again. Rain tapping the glass behind him. He scrolled through a message draft on his phone, an apology he couldn't send. He closed his eyes. Tomorrow he'll tell her everything he decided. No more hiding behind guilt. Upstairs, Lily lay awake, one hand on her stomach, the other gripping the edge of the shawl he had given her. She whispered to herself, "Why does my heart hurt when he walks away?" The mansion slept under the rain. Two hearts restless in their separate rooms, bound by silence, divided by fear, yet inching closer with every beat. Rain had stopped. The mansion was washed clean, under the soft light of dawn. Lily awoke to birds' song outside her window. Yet peace felt far away. She sat on the edge of the bed, fingers brushing the fabric of her light night gown, eyes distant. Her stomach fluttered, not from nausea this time, but from the strange ache of missing Frederick. Downstairs, she could hear faint voices, laughter, footsteps, and the rustle of papers. Frederick was already awake. She dressed in a cream linen gown with puffed sleeves, tied her hair neatly, and walked toward the living room, unaware that eyes were already watching. Frederick stood near the grand piano, his tailored navy suit fitted to perfection, speaking to a woman in a bright red dress who smiled too easily. Her name was Clara Mensa, his public relations director. Elegant, tall, mid-30s, with sharp eyes that calculated every move. Clara's laughter echoed lightly as she touched his arm. "Frederick, you've been hiding. You Disappeared from the office for 2 days. Everyone's talking. I needed time to think, he said distractedly, flipping through a document. When Lily appeared by the doorway, his eyes flicked toward her instinctively, a small, warm glance that didn't escape Clara's attention. Clara turned slightly, smirking. Ah, the new maid. No wonder you've been occupied. Lily froze, unsure whether to greet or retreat. Frederick's tone hardened. She's recovering. Speak respectfully. Clara raised a brow. Of course. Just didn't realize your staff got such personal attention. Frederick's jaw clenched. Lily bowed slightly and walked away quickly, cheeks burning. Behind her, Clara's perfume and laughter. Lingel, sharpes Glas. By midday, whispers traveled faster than footsteps. In the staff dining room, voices dropped to hushes as Lily entered. She's the reason the boss ignored Miss Clara, one maid murmured. Another giggled. If I looked like her, maybe I'd be in his mansion, too. Lily pretended not to hear, sitting quietly with her meal. Her hands trembled slightly as she lifted her spoon. She could feel the jealousy curling around her like smoke, invisible, but suffocating. When she stood up to leave, the cook muttered under his breath, "Careful how you fly, little bird. Some skies aren't meant for you." She walked out fast, her eyes glistening. Frederick found her later by the mansion's indoor garden, tending to flowers quietly. "Lily," he said, stepping closer. "You've been avoiding me." She didn't look up. "You were busy with your—" "Yes," he sighed, rubbing the bridge of his nose. "Clara is just a business partner. She doesn't look at you like that." "And how do I look at you?" he asked softly. Her breath caught, but she said nothing. He continued, his voice low but intense. "Lily, people will talk. No matter what we do, you don't have to hide from me." She finally turned to face him, eyes shimmering with emotion. "But you don't understand what it's like being me here. They look at me as if I don't belong. Maybe I don't." Frederick stepped forward, his expression hardening. "Don't ever say that again. You belong anywhere you choose to be." For a moment, silence filled the garden. The soft sound of the fountain echoing between them. Their eyes met. His filled with protection, hers with fear and desire intertwined. That evening, Clara returned with a folder and a smirk. "I need your signature, Frederick," she said, walking into his office uninvited. He was reviewing contracts. Visibly tired. "Leave it on the desk." Clara crossed her arms. "You've changed. Ever since that maid came here. You're distracted. It's not professional." He looked up slowly, eyes cold. "You're out of line." Clara leaned closer, whispering, "If the board hears that, you're keeping a young maid under your roof. Especially after that hotel incident, your reputation won't survive." Frederick stood abruptly. "That's enough." But Clara wasn't done. "She's already caused whispers. Do you really want your name tied to hers?" Frederick's tone dropped into a quiet fury. "If my name is tied to her, it'll be because I chose it to be." Clara blinked, taken aback. His words sliced through her pride. She left without another word, heels clicking sharply across the marble. Later that night, Lily stood outside the balcony, her hair loose, the city lights reflecting in her terror-y eyes. Frederick found her there, a silent figure against the glowing skyline. "Are you all right?" he asked gently. She shook her head. "I don't want to be the reason people turn against you." He took a step closer. "Let them talk. I've lived my whole life worrying about the world's opinion. For once, I care about something real." "Why? Me?" she asked, voice trembling. "You could have anyone, Frederick. Because you're the only one who doesn't want anything from me." The silence between them deepened. filled with Rain's memory, fear, and longing. When their eyes met, again, words failed. The camera would linger there. The golden indoor light. Against the night sky. His dark suit. Contrasting her soft gown, the distance. Between them closing breath by breath. He didn't touch her this time. Instead, he whispered, "Good night, Lily. You're safe here. No one can take that from you." As Frederick walked away, Lily leaned against the balcony glass, tears streaming silently. Her heart wavered. Between guilt and yearning. Downstairs, Frederick stood in the shadows of the hallway, fists clenched. He could hear the echo of Clara's warning in his head. But when he closed his eyes, all he could see was Lily's face. And he knew there was no going back. The mansion, once filled with quiet order, now thrummed with unspoken emotion. Desire, jealousy, and the first spark of something that could destroy or save them both. Morning broke with the chaos of headlines. On Frederick's mahogany desk lay a newspaper, his name printed in bold black letters. Billionaire Frederick Wilson in secret affair with hotel maid. The photo beneath was grainy, but unmistakable. Lily being carried into his car outside the hotel weeks ago. His heart sank. He knew exactly who had leaked it. Clarmensa. Across the mansion, whispers erupted like wildfire. The staff's glances turned sharper, their politeness colder. When Lily came downstairs, dressed in a simple gray gown with her hair tied in a messy bun, she saw the folded newspaper on the compact table. Her hands trembled as she picked it up. "Frederick, why didn't you tell me?" she whispered, voice quivering. "I didn't want to worry you," he said quietly. "But it's already out, and it's my fault." Tears welled in her eyes. "You'll lose everything because of me." He stepped closer. "If losing everything means keeping you safe, then he'll lose it all." By noon, reporters had gathered at the mansion's gate. Lily sat silently by the window, clutching her shawl as if it could protect her from the noise outside. "I should go," she said. "Finally. Before it gets worse." Frederick turned sharply. "Go where?" "Anywhere. Back to my old life. I was never meant to stay here." He walked toward her, eyes fierce yet tender. "You think running will fix this? It'll only hurt you more." She met his gaze. "It'll hurt less than staying." He tried to speak, but words failed. When she stepped toward the door, he caught her wrist gently, not to stop her, but to make her look at him one last time. "They'll never forget you, Lily." Her lips trembled as she whispered, "Don't make promises to a girl like me, Frederick." And then she left. Days turned into weeks. Frederick's mansion, once alive with light and laughter, now stood cold and echoing. He stopped attending meetings. Clara was fired. Her betrayal exposed, but meaningless. Every night, Frederick sat on the balcony where Lily once stood, staring at the city she had vanished into. Rain often fell, just like the night they first confessed their feelings, and each drop sounded like her name. 3 months later, Frederick received a call from the hotel manager. A soft voice on the other end said, "Sir, there's something you should know. Lily Vincent was admitted to St. Mary's Hospital last night." He didn't hesitate. When he arrived, he found her in a small ward, pale, weak, but alive. She was holding her stomach protectively. The nurse smiled faintly. "She's pregnant, Mr. Wilson." "About 3 months." Frederick's breath caught. His gaze softened as he stepped closer to the bed. Lily's eyes fluttered open, confusion giving way to emotion. "Why are you here?" she whispered. He smiled sadly. "Because I should have never let you go." Over the next weeks, Frederick never left her side. He ensured she had the best care, the finest doctors, the peace she deserved. And as her strength returned, so did her laughter. Quiet, hesitant, beautiful. When she was finally strong enough to leave, he took her not to the mansion, but to a smaller, seaside home. Modest, serene, private. The sea breeze carried peace that the 70 marble halls never could. One evening, as the sun melted into the horizon, Frederick stood on the balcony of the placid seaside house. Lily, wearing a flowing, white maternity dress, stood beside him. Her belly round, her skin glowing in the golden light. He turned to her, eyes soft with humility and love. Lily, I once thought I needed power and perfection to feel alive, but you showed me what it means to be human. He pulled out a small velvet box inside a simple silver ring. I don't care what the world thinks anymore. I only care what you feel. Will you marry me? Lily's eyes filled with tears. Her trembling fingers touched the ring. Then his hand. I don't need luxury, she whispered. Just you. Honest, real, and kind. He slipped the Kratos ring onto her finger, his smile gentle and full. Months later, a baby's cry echoed softly through the seaside home. Frederick stood by the bed holding a tiny newborn wrapped in white cloth, his dark skin glowing under the morning sunday. Lily lay on the bed, smiling weakly, exhausted but radiant. What will we name him? Frederick asked quietly. She smiled faintly. Oh, because that's what you gave me. He kissed her forehead tenderly. Outside, the waves rolled against the shore. Endless, calm, forgiving. The camera would pull back, slowly, showing the sea, the sunrise, and their little home. A far cry from the cold marble of wealth. No titles. No scandals, just love. Simple, fragile, but real. If you enjoy this story, please like and subscribe for more of the story. See you again in the next story. Thank you for watching.